Welcome to the channel, guys. We are back again, and today I'm doing first impression for Nishane, Hacivat Ambra Calabria. So stay tuned for that. And if you like the content, if you like first impressions, top picks lists, and fragrance reviews, and clone comparisons, hit that subscribe button for more great content. Nishane is one of my favorite niche brands. They're from Turkey, so a lot of people have heard about them, Hacivat being one of their most popular fragrances, and I've generally liked everything I've tried. There's a few fragrances that I wasn't a big fan of. Surprisingly enough, Annie is one of them. I was not a big fan of that one, but I do love fragrances like Fan Your Flames and Salt and Vetiver, and the other one they have, it's Wulong Cha, is absolutely amazing. So I had to try these ones. I heard good things about Ambra Calabria, mostly actually from the Bowtie fragrance guy. He was the one who I first heard talk about this one as a really nice spring-summer fragrance, so I want to try it out as that season is going to be creeping up us pretty soon. And then Hacivat, which is much loved as a similar to Aventus type of fragrance. I'm not a big Aventus fan, so I'm actually not expecting too much from this. But we'll see if I like it. I do like pineapple as a note, so we'll see how it turns out. I'm going to start with Hacivat, I guess just because it's the one that I have the least expectations for. So might as well go with the worst first, although it could end up being the one that I like the most. And that is definitely pretty potent because I can smell it without even putting anything on here. So definitely right in the opening, I do get that sort of Aventus-y vibe. I get the pineapple, I get sort of, I guess it's probably bergamot also in there that really gives that sort of fruity, citrusy Aventus touch. It's bright. It is interesting. It's quality. It does smell. And I know a lot of people have said this fragrance is very synthetic. At least right now, it doesn't come off to be especially synthetic. And compared to the batches of Aventus that I've smelled, it doesn't smell any more or less synthetic than those do. So there is that. There's a little bit of a sparkle there. It's nothing too crazy, but there certainly is a little bit of a feeling there that does give it this very bright, uplifting kind of a vibe. And honestly, I tell you what, if I I don't know what the rest of this fragrance is like, but the opening here is like so close to Aventus. I would tell you that this is essentially an Aventus clone. I know a lot of people definitely do speak about it that way, but I have heard that it does start to do a little bit of its own thing, although it's very, very similar. But this smells like they were going exactly for Aventus, not even just something similarly styled, but they really wanted to copy the fragrance exactly. But yeah, so, you know, I've only smelled a few batches. I don't know how much they actually vary. I've smelled a lot of the clones and stuff, and this definitely is right up that alleyway. It is, you know, it opens up like a niche clone, if you want to say that. I will say, at least from opening the bottle, you know, it seems to be a beast fragrance, and that's what a lot of people say about Hacivat, is that it is a beast mode fragrance. And at least from the Aventus that I've tried, it does not perform that well. So if you're looking for something with better performance, Hacivat certainly could be the choice. Don't dislike it, but at the same token, I don't actually love it, at least right now. Like I said, Aventus was never really my thing, but it does definitely have, you know, it smells good. It's quality. It's quality. So I'm going to move on to Ambra Calabria. I hope I haven't gotten my hopes up too high with this one, but I am hoping that this is going to be one that I do enjoy. It's supposed to be a nice summery type green, if I recall, type of fragrance. And like I said, if you haven't checked out the Bowtie fragrance guy, he does have a great channel, so do check that one out. That is kind of interesting. I definitely get a bit of a floral vibe. I'm not a huge fan of florals, so this does smell a lot like a bit of a white floral vibe with a bit of a greenness there. I do get a bit of an actual slight fruity kind of vibe. I can't really tell what it is, but there is something there that is a little bit fruity. But the white floral kind of vibe is actually quite strong. So I guess for me, I'm not a huge fan of white florals, and this is the reason why I think I'm a little bit not as into this fragrance as possibly I would otherwise be. But it does have a nice, very clean, almost soapy white floral vibe along with a greenness. So I think this is, to me, this is a spring, summer fragrance. It's classy. It does have a little bit of uniqueness there. So it doesn't smell super familiar to me, but that white, the strong white floral vibe that it has definitely gives off something that I have smelled before. And it is definitely providing a certain greenness and a certain cleanness. So I'm going to go back to Hacivat, see if it's changed, see if it's developed, see if it's diverged a little bit from Aventus at all, and let's see. Okay. So it is definitely kind of moving in its own direction. You know, right on the opening, it just smelled exactly like Aventus pretty much, but it is taking this sort of... I mean, it's a similar kind of idea where you're getting this sort of woody kind of a base. I still get some light fruitiness. You know, it doesn't smell really birchy or really smoky like any of the Aventuses that I've tried. And it doesn't smell particularly musky. So I have also tried some Aventuses that are very musky. And I also don't pick up any vanilla. So it does definitely seem to be moving in a bit of a different direction, but it has an overall similar vibe. Fruitiness, along with sort of a masculine kind of woody base. And it's actually nice. So it is a nice fragrance, and I think this is one that's easy to wear. Definitely very easy to wear for a man. Easy to wear in formal situations. One that you can wear casually as well, but I think overall a very versatile, easy fragrance. And it does, I think it has oak moss in it, and I definitely get a lot of that feel. It reminds me a little bit of, I think it's, I want to say it's Danger, which also has oak moss in it, and there's this oak moss vibe that is similar, although the fragrances, of course, smell very, very different. But there is that sort of similar note that does feel like the way that the note is used is the same in those two fragrances. But it definitely has, it definitely has a masculine dry down. I think this is an easy one to wear for guys. Definitely works in classy situations, formal situations. It does seem professional. It does seem well put together. But of course, it can easily be an everyday fragrance. But I also do think it does lean a little bit more towards some kind of night out or a special occasion of some kind. Just because there is a sort of formality about this fragrance. I don't know if it is the oak moss or whatever the case is, but it's definitely giving me that kind of vibe. So I'm going to go back to Ambra Calabria and see what I think. So something nice there. I'm getting a little bit of a spice. And the spice with the florals is actually working really well. I like the way that they actually start to blend together. It gives it a very nice edge, a nice twist off that previously very sort of clean white floral feeling. And there is definitely a greenness. So I think a little bit more prominent than the floral vibe is this overwhelming, or this really sort of bed of green kind of feeling. It's kind of leafy, kind of grassy, but it doesn't come off at all like a fresh cut grass or overly leafy. It does just generally have this very green feeling that does feel like it could be a little bit grassy, but it's definitely not a fresh cut grass. A little bit of sweetness there. There is something with a little bit of sweetness. So I think both these fragrances, the quality is actually very high. Nishane, to me, is one of the higher end niche brands there are. They do have quality fragrances. They put quality ingredients, at least as far as I can tell, in their fragrances. Good performance, good smell. They don't come across smelling really synthetic, or at least not in an irritating way. And I think both these fragrances do, for that reason, they lean a little bit more luxury. And that is kind of the brand image. It is a luxury fragrance house. So not too much of a surprise there. And I think in that sense, that does lend themselves a little bit to being worn in more formal occasions. But I think either one of these fragrances can be fairly versatile for the seasons that they are. Now, Hacivat kind of seems more like a year-round, fairly versatile fragrance that you can put on in most situations and be okay. It is a little bit more of that masculine kind of Aventus-y vibe that people are definitely very familiar with. Does open up a lot like Aventus, but does certainly start to do its own thing. Nishane Ambra Calabria does definitely come off a little bit more unique. It's green, it's floral. It does have a sort of hint of sweetness there, and it does have class to it. So I think it is something that certainly you can wear out, doing whatever during the spring or the summer. And I think ultimately this would be best suited for the summer. I think it's actually, the spring, just because it's not super fresh, but it is kind of green, and there is something very lively about it that does put itself or lend itself well to those situations. That being said, like I said, something about that sort of clean white floral vibe that it has going does make it seem to me a little bit like it would be well suited for a formal warm occasion in the spring. But again, you could wear this casually. Like I could almost see wearing this on a golf course or something like that, because it is very laid back at the same time. But again, that class is there, the quality is there that does sort of lend itself. And both of them don't come off as overly playful, which that can be good for clubbing or date nights or whatever. And they're not really fresh or sporty or whatever. So again, similar occasions, although I think Ambra Calabria is definitely more spring, summer. Hacivat can easily be a year-rounder in my personal opinion. So that's it for those ones. Nice fragrances by Nishane. Have you tried either of those? And do you have any Nishane recommendations? Let me know. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.